talking about blowtorch, you remember that character, Desperate Dan it was? He never used to use a razor. It was actually a blowtorch. That's the image that came into my head when I was talking to Ricky there. Mike is in Hernhill. Mike, good morning to you.
Hello.
Hi there. How are you?
I'm good, yeah, thank you.
What would you like to talk about, Mike?
We were talking about the binge drinking.
Yeah, we were having a conversation about it earlier on, yeah.
Yeah, and I just picked up on that. I heard this radio program a few years ago about a huge government intervention in the northeast of England. They had loads of munitions workers north of Carlisle, and they were worrying about what would happen with binge drinking. And they nationalised the alcohol industry and changed the whole way that the pubs were run, so that a lot else was going on in the pubs, that they were really cool environments. And as far as I know, the whole thing worked brilliantly for decades and decades. There's a lot of... I haven't actually been up to the northeast to check these places out, but some of these old pubs are still there.
What was different? Sorry, what was different about these pubs?
They weren't banning alcohol. Oh, well, they encouraged families. They had all sorts of other stuff on sale and other things going on besides alcohol.
So it's like a family evening out?
Very much like that, yeah. I mean, I want to know more about it, but I haven't researched, and I don't know if there's books about it.
I guess if you look at EastEnders and other soaps where they have a pub, it is very much a kind of a community, a kind of a family affair, really, isn't it? It isn't
exactly.
It isn't a place where you see a lot of people getting drunk and falling over each other.
Yeah. Yeah, well, so that's an example of how it could be. But, I mean, it needs government resources, but not in the mode of trying to control everybody, but in the mode of trying to change a situation by just making things a little bit different.
But things have changed so much. I mean, the number of pubs closing on a daily basis, it's unbelievable. It falls into the hundreds. And these pubs are, turning into flats, they're turning into restaurants, and people aren't drinking in these places anymore. People are drinking at home, people are going to these fancy bars, people are just drinking out in the open.
So there's a market niche that the government could move into in a subtle sort of way, buying these places up and turning them into the Queen Vic. It could happen.
Yeah, it could do, but then again, they would say, what's the incentive for them? If alcohol is being consumed in larger amounts, and these pubs weren't selling as much, there's more revenue for the government, in taxes, isn't there? Well, the more alcohol they sell, the more money they make.
If the government went into the business of manufacturing the alcohol as well, or found some way of getting involved with that production and sale...
Come on, they couldn't organise, in a brewery. Come on, you don't want them to get involved in
I do.
in the production of our alcohol, now, do you?
Oh, yeah, because I think it would actually make a difference. It could change the culture in a subtle sort of way.
But they would still be making alcohol. How would that change our drinking habits?
Well, it's partly about siphoning off some of the profits and using them in an intelligent way. So, if the government were in the business of manufacturing alcohol, they could invest the money made into these clones of the Queen Vic, so that the project that I'm talking about would be able to be self-financing. I mean, people don't want governments to do that because they think it's like getting involved in dirty work, but actually...
Sounds a lot like communism to me.
Well, it's not communism, but it's just being intelligent about problems instead of knee-jerk reactions like too many things drinkers.
How about this, Mike? How about taking the approach that actually, let's not glamorize alcohol. Let's, have a word with these individuals who are seen as icons and fashion idols. Let's get them to behave themselves so people who see them on television and in magazines don't follow them. How's about taking the approach of discouraging binge drinking?
But how do you get them to behave themselves? That sounds to me like trying to control people again, and I don't think it works. Whereas, I mean, I wouldn't mind inviting these people into these Queen Vic situations and having a dialogue with them, but you can't control them. I mean, if it's cool for them, or if they've got into some pattern of drinking and behaving badly, you can't get them to behave differently. I mean, look. What
about a sense of responsibility? Well, what about saying to people, you can have a drink, but remember you have a responsibility to your followers.
It still sounds a bit like preaching, doesn't it?
Well, maybe that's what we need. Maybe that's where we're going wrong. We're leaving people to their own devices, and they're failing miserably. They're letting us down. They're letting you down. They're letting me down. They're letting our children down.
Well, I sort of agree with the sentiment, but I don't think that you can control people by giving them sermons, really.
Okay, well, what about the banning alcohol on television and the promotion of it?
No, again, well, I mean, I've got these biases, isn't it? It just sounds like control again. I mean, I'd like to see the sort of pub I was talking about on television, reality TV, let's say, with these sort of brilliant environments where, I mean, I know they had Boris Johnson on EastEnders a couple of weeks ago. So he
can't act, can he, really, now? You know, I saw him, I thought...
That was the only time I've ever seen him stop acting, was when he walked onto the EastEnders set.
Yeah. Oh, that was so surreal. That was. I could not believe that they had gone forward and did that. You know, just unbelievable. Yeah.
I sort of liked it, and I mean, what you're saying about giving these celebrities a good talking to, I wouldn't mind inviting them into reality TV environments and interacting with them. But I don't think you can just read a sermon to them and expect them to behave differently.
I don't know. I'm sure every individual that we're referring to will have a sense of responsibility. And if they are, you know, sat down and told, look, what you do is copied by your followers, so can you please be a bit more responsible, then they will realize that, you know, it comes with the territory, that is part and parcel of being famous. I don't know, I know it's very idealistic, but... I do believe that, you know, not every celebrity is bad, and they do feel or should feel that they have a responsibility, and maybe they can make a difference.
It's possible, isn't it?
But why is it so difficult to accept that maybe we should have less alcohol altogether? You know, discourage people.
It's like pie in the sky, isn't it? I don't think that you can discourage people in that sort of self-righteous way. It's the same sort of thing as trying to ban it, which everybody knows in America when they banned alcohol, they just tripled the use of alcohol.
Yeah, but we banned certain drugs.
And it doesn't work. I mean, I'd say the same thing. I think the government should be manufacturing illegal drugs and be involved in the distribution and price the criminals out of the market. I think there's a potential way of getting better control of that sort of situation if the government were willing to get involved.
I guess the problem with what you're suggesting it isn't a practical one. It's more of it's a moral one, isn't it? It's like, it sounds wrong.
It sounds wrong. That's exactly it. That's why people don't do these things. It sounds wrong, but it would actually get a handle on the problem. So,
well,
I mean,
okay. How about this idea then? Instead of legalizing heroin and all the other banned substances, how about giving alternatives to them? You know, nowadays we've got a drug for everything. You know, if you got erectile problems, you take this drug, it's all right. If you're feeling a bit tired, you drink a bit of this and you'll be all right. So drugs are all...
I'd agree if we were talking ecstasy and LSD and sort of relatively harmless things like that. But, I mean, Viagra probably doesn't do anybody any good, does it? It sounds like... I mean, I've never tried it, but it just sounds like a rubbish drug.
So, what was that?
Viagra.
Oh, a Viagra?
Yeah.
Well, people swear by it.
It's
what doctors prescribe now.
It doesn't make it a good drug, does it? I mean,
No, it solves a problem. There is a demand for it. There was a problem. This is a solution for it. And there are other drugs. I mean, there's Red Bull, for example. If you're feeling tired, you don't like coffee,
what
you could have your...
Red Bull, I've always wondered. And there's another one being advertised on the tube trains, some sort of instant wild energy. But what's in it? I'm curious.
Well, if somebody will tell us, I like to have one now and then, just to give me a bit of a boost. But there's something called taurine in there, which...
Yeah, I've heard the word.
Taurine. Yeah, it comes from bulls, but I don't know which part, though.
Oh, my God.
You know, taurine. I could be wrong here, but I'm just making the obvious assumption here. A taur is...
Oh, yeah, I get the
It's a bull, and rin which rhymes with urine. So, but I could be completely wrong. In fact, I am probably wrong.
However, nobody who's listened to this conversation is ever going to forget what you said, are they?
Well, I could be completely wrong. But I